Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Single Parent Nation podcast. Today, I have the honor of speaking with a wonderful woman named Fadwa Yusuf, a powerhouse of resilience, transformation, and empowerment. As the visionary founder of the Gems of Life, a global speaker, transformational life coach, and the talk show host, Fadwa is dedicated to helping individuals unlock their full potential. She is the author of Going the Distance, No Parts Left Behind, a book that inspires readers to overcome challenges and embrace a life of purpose and abundance. Recognized by the Torchbearer Award and nominated for the Beacon of Strength Award, Fadwa's impact extends far beyond words. She is a true force for change. As a single parent of two, she uses her experiences to uplift and empower women, providing that transformation begins with courage, community, and an unshakable belief in oneself. Before I welcome her, I just wanted to let her know that your kids are lucky to have you as their mom. Welcome, Fadha. How are you?
Oh my God. You know what? Thank you, my sister. Thank you, Priscilla, for having me here. I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for being our guest. We're very lucky. So, let me ask you a couple questions because you are a life coach and you're also a single mom. So this is going to be awesome for us. What can you share, or can you share a bit about your journey as a single mother and how it shaped you for who you are today?
That's a really powerful, jam-packed question, right? Like, you know what? I went through as a single parent since my daughter was 8 months old.
Mhm.
She's 22 today. She just turned 22. So I
Wow.
was a single parent raising her since she was 8 months old. And then right after that, a few years later, 5 years later, I had my son from another marriage. So
Mhm.
basically, from the age she was not even two, I've raised him on by myself. He's 15, he's turning 16 soon. So I didn't think of, I used to just take it lightly. Oh, I'm a single parent. That's it. I'm raising two kids. They didn't think of it. The day that it actually dawned on me, the weight, because we as single parents, single mothers, we never think about the weight that we
Okay.
carry, right?
Mhm.
We just go through life and we think this is how it is because that's how we're used to it, you know? And it was one day I was on my way. I just been dealing with a lot of stuff for a few days, and it was a culmination of things. And I drove to work. I had parked my car outside the parking lot. This was like a couple of months ago, and I'm sitting in my car. I could not get out of the car. And guess who calls? My daughter calls. And
Mhm.
as she's talking, I just started bawling. And she's like, "What's going on, mom? What's wrong?" Right? And I'm like, "No, I am one person. I am this one person who is the chauffeur, the cook, the cleaner." Like, and then I just started talking. And I'm like, I'm doing this and I'm doing this. I cannot have more additions of the tasks to do. And that's when it dawned on me. It was like, oh my God, we take single parenthood so lightly and we don't realize the weight we carry. I didn't think that there was so much that I was carrying, and the weight and the heaviness of it and the role of a single mother. I didn't
Mhm.
know what that came with, you know? Because you just go through life and you're thinking, okay, this is basically, I got no other choice. This is what I'm doing. As much as we show up as mothers, we don't realize that we are taking on so much and not realizing to take a moment to actually think about what does this mean for me and how is it changing me in the process, because it changed me without realizing it, and I got lost in the midst of it, and I lost me in the midst of it.
Ah, you say I can totally relate because you sound like me. And I think, tell me if I'm correct or if you can relate. So, I
Mm.
mean, when it happens, you become a single mom, you know, you realize nobody's coming to save you. So you just do what you have to do. You don't even think about it, because if you think about all the things you have to do for the day, you
Yes.
get overwhelmed. You just think about it and you just go. But then one day you get mentally and physically burnt out, and then you just explode like a volcano.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we need to give ourselves some grace
And mercy.
and compassion and some love, because it's not easy.
No, it's
And
not.
it's not easy. And we put on a facade and we make it, people tell me, you make it look so easy. You make
Yeah.
it so easy, but it's not easy. You know, I've had people tell me, I have a husband or I have a partner, and I couldn't imagine, the workload and all the responsibilities that I get to do, even when I have a partner. I can't imagine how you do it on your own, right? So we put on this armor, right? And we need to unpack that. We really need to unpack that and really come back to ourselves, to us first, and really take care of ourselves.
Yeah, and so thank God for people like you and I. We're talking about it. We're bringing that awareness to the table, and we're helping women, and that's why we're talking about, how we manage it, right? So thank you for sharing that. What inspired you though to become a life coach, and how did you get started?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I I would say what inspired me to be a life coach was I didn't even know life coach was on my radar, right? I would say what brought me to do the work that I'm doing today is it didn't come from inspiration, it didn't come from motivation. It didn't, I didn't wake up in the morning and it was handed over to me. It came from a place of insignificance. It came from a place of nothingness. It came from a place of emptiness. It came from a place of depression. It came from a place of loss and loss of clarity and loss of self. That's where it came from. And it was, rebuilding that person that I once lost. It was reconnecting to that part that was lost. It was reconnecting back to myself. And the journey that got me from the mess that I was in or the pain that I was in and brought me where I am today, able to do the work that I'm doing today,
Mhm.
it's very fulfilling. Why? Because I know where I came from and I know what got me where I am today. And now I can actually help those who were in the place where I was once upon a time, who were stuck in the messiness, who were stuck in the nothingness, who were stuck in the place of insignificance, who were stuck in depression, who were stuck in a place where they feel like they're helpless and hopeless. So now I can help them, take them where they are and move them from that place of clarity and connection and love and compassion for oneself.
Wow. So I think it's just your assignment, right? I
It's
think,
exactly
yeah,
assignment. And I was earlier talking about this. It's so nice that we are so aligned, Priscilla. We are so aligned because
yeah.
I was talking earlier and I said, we are all born with an assignment. We are all born with an assignment, and our assignment is already predestined for us. We
Mhm.
have and we have to go through a process
The
to strengthen
to
that
get the
message,
message.
to
Yeah.
get the message, right? So that's why I said it wasn't motivation, inspiration that got me where I am. No, it was from a place of feeling, like literally experiencing that I have no, like my identity, who I am, has no significance. Coming from that place is a very dark place. And then moving to a place where you have clarity, you have connection with self, you have compassion for self, you have love for self. Moving to that place, it's so beautiful to witness that. And now the mission and the assignment is not that. It's actually the mission and the assignment is how do you help others come out of that place, right? And help them reconnect to their assignment.
Can I tell you something?
Mm.
So just to let everybody know that I met Fadwa at the Mind Valley event in 2025, January,
Yes.
in Dubai. And when I met her, we immediately just connected. But what I want to tell you is, do you remember that exercise that Jay Shetty did about finding your purpose? He said, to find the place where basically the saddest point of your life
Mhm.
and the happiest point of your life and define it by one word. And you said those two words tonight, and
Yes.
mine was lost, and the happy time was clarity.
Mm.
So that was, it makes so much sense that this podcast is happening. And I'm very shy. I'm considered introvert. So for
Mm.
me to be doing this is jumping way out of my comfort zone. And when I came up with those two words, and I don't know if you remember my friend Yahia, he was beside me, and Jay Shetty, he was one of those people that put his hand up and Jay Shetty came up to. And so with having him experience it with Jay Shetty, his purpose, because I was beside him, I was experiencing it with him. So when he was talking to Yahia, it was almost like he was talking to me. And that was when all these podcasts and things I'm doing is connecting. It's like when you're going through the moment of being a single parent, sometimes it's like, why me? But
Yes.
then right now, it's all making sense.
Why not, right? Why not you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all making sense.
Yeah.
Man, you
And
said my
congratulations.
words. You said my words. So let
Yes.
me ask you this, as an author, what message do you hope to share with the world through
Mm,
your writing?
mm. Yeah, thank you for that question. And congratulations on your podcast, okay? Because I know this assignment you're on is just beginning. It's just the beginning.
Mhm.
And I can't wait, and I'm excited to see what's coming out of this for you.
Yeah. Me.
Um, absolutely. So when even the title of my book, it's called Going the Distance. Going
Mhm.
the Distance, No Paths Left Behind. And this title came through the, introspection and reflection and through the message. I didn't just sit down and just thought about the title. I didn't even have the title of the book until I completed the book. That's how it worked for me. And the message that I truly hope that comes from this, and I don't even look at it as a book, Priscilla. I look at it as a message,
Mhm.
as a vehicle towards transformation. That's how I look at it. And what I hope is for any reader reading the book, going through the book, in each chapter, there's reflection page. And in each chapter, once you go through reflection, you're going inward, reflecting. And by the end of the chapter, my intention, I don't even like to use the word hope, because hope, you're putting it into the future. My intention for every reader is to walk away with clarity of who they are, with clarity of what they envision for themselves, with clarity of what they want in life, clarity of the emotions that come and the beliefs they hold, and understanding the purpose and the relationship these beliefs have on hold on them, right? And developing a different narrative, a different language, a different relationship with the emotions that keeps them stuck, with the beliefs that hold them hostage, and moving away from that, free and liberated. So that's my hope, is to, I recently saw a study and it said 92% of people struggle with clarity and the sense of direction. That's a huge number.
Yeah, that's huge.
And it's huge. And we fall into that. I fall into that back
Mhm.
and forth, right? And the only way we can move forward and move away from, just going through life, sleepwalking through life, is to really be conscious or have awareness on your day-to-day basis and what you're doing with your time, because time is the precious, precious asset that we have. So what am I doing with my time, my present time right now, this moment? What am I doing with it? Do I have clarity on what I want and the things that I want to do and the goals that I want to achieve in life? Do I have a vision for myself?
Mhm.
And sometimes we don't have to worry too much about what our purpose is, because your purpose was already assigned to you. So
Mhm.
it will show up one way or the other. But what we want to do is we want to build ourselves to a place where we can actually create room to receive it. Because
Right.
and that's my intention, is once you go through the book, you will be able to understand the steps needed to create room to receive not just the purpose, but the abundance of the things that you envision for your life.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think sometimes with purpose, I think we know, like people said, they don't know what their purpose is. They know what their purpose is. I think they refuse to accept it. And they also want to have a purpose of somebody that they admire, but it's gonna be different for everybody, you know? That's so good. You guys need to go get that book. Go in the distance, no parts left behind. It sounds almost like a movie.
It is, right?
The title, it sounds like a movie.
Yes, yes,
Let me
yes.
ask you this. What drew you though to go to the Mind Valley events?
Mm. Okay, so interesting story behind that. I am a Mind Valley member. The first time I actually joined was through Speak and Inspire by Lisa Nichols. And I was competing in the Toastmasters International Speaking Contest.
Mhm,
And I had made it all the way to almost going to quarterfinals. So
mhm,
in my state, I am, the champion for that area. So what happened was I want to learn about speaking and elevating my how to speak and all that. So that's how I joined Mind Valley. But why did I end up coming to this event? I was planning in December. I was planning to travel to Africa for bringing people and taking them on a tour and things like that. And it didn't pan out because the ticket was ridiculously expensive in December. So I was like, okay, I'm going to wait until maybe January. But one of the places I was going to bypass was Dubai, right? So looking at the tickets, I was like, okay, maybe Dubai. But then I had an event that I was going to
mhm,
an hour away from Dubai in Bahrain. It's another country next to it. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll go to Bahrain. But then, one evening, this is so ridiculously unbelievable. Talk about manifestation. I was going on my computer looking for Stephen Bartlett
mhm,
for his address so I could mail him a copy of my book because I enjoy listening to his podcast, right? So I'm like, oh, I would love to be on his podcast. So I'm going to send him my book. I found the address. There was
mhm,
two different addresses. So I thought, okay, I'll wait in the morning and just confirm which one is the right one. So I wake up in the morning. Before I actually open my browser to check for the address, I get an email from
mhm,
Mind Valley. And
mhm.
the first name that I see is whose? Stephen Bartlett.
Oh my God.
Okay? Stephen Bartlett coming to Dubai. Thinking, what is going on here? Because I was already bypassing Dubai to go to Bahrain. So I'm like, so you know what I said? I said, God, you're funny. I have these funny conversations. I said, you're so funny because I'm like, you're telling me, Fadwa, your vision is so small. Why send him the book when you can actually dream bigger?
Yeah.
Actually give him the book yourself.
Mhm.
You don't need to send it to him. You get to meet him and you get to give him the book. I actually signed up immediately. I didn't wait. Not only did I sign up, I signed up for the platinum. I was like, I'm sitting in the front row.
Go big or go home.
I'm not taking any chances. But the question now is, did I get to meet Stephen Bartlett? You know how hectic it was, right? You know how
Yeah.
difficult it was to meet any of the speakers, right? And when I went up and I met him and everybody's taking pictures, I did take a picture with him, not the best picture, but then I asked him, I said, did you get a copy of my book? Because I gave it to the team just in case, right? Just in case I don't see him. And he said, no. So what do? I go back to my seat, open my backpack, picked up my book, a copy of my book. Okay. And I went out for half an hour in the lobby looking for him. And then I saw him at the corner of my eye, I saw him up, he's coming down the escalator, and he's leaving, right? And I'm like, you ain't leaving without my book. Whether you read it or not, you're getting my book. So I walked up, and of course, there's resistance. People don't want you to go too close. And I'm like, listen, I got a picture with him. He's expecting my book, and I'm giving him my book.
Mhm.
So I go up and I wait for him, and I see him come down the escalator. And I called out to him. I said, Stephen, here's the book. And he walks right up to me, takes the book, smiles, and he walks away. I delivered. That's
Persistent.
persistence, and I just did my part, right?
Yeah.
And whether he reads it, but I know I'm gonna be on his podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's already done. It's done deal in my mind. It's done deal.
Done. I, I
Done.
I see it already.
Talk about manifestation. Yes, I did my part.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So I think you are like me too. Like every year I try to go to a personal development event, right? So I was setting my goals and I was like, okay, what events am I gonna go for 2025? And it time kind of went by and it was just like late December. I was like, what event am I gonna go? And I had nothing on my vision board, nothing on my 2025 goals. Same thing like you. I got an email and I was like, and I saw Dubai. I was like, I always wanted to go to Dubai. And then funny enough, I picked up my phone like a couple hours after and I saw the video on Instagram, the ad for Mind Valley event. And then I saw all the speakers. I'm like, those are all the speakers I follow and listen to. I'm like, you know what? I went back to the computer, same thing. I just booked. I booked my flight and hotel. Then I bought the ticket. Yeah, amazing. Let me
Yes.
ask you, who had the most influence though at Mind Valley when it comes to like mindset or career?
Ah, oh my God. Okay. Hands-on, of course. Stephen Bartlett, what he shared. Lisa Nichols, of course, right?
Mhm,
Um, oh my God. I mean, Jay Shetty, definitely.
mhm,
I would say even Vishen, what he shared. And I think anything to do with AI, even the first day, was amazing. Um, when it came to health, mind and body, all the speakers who talked about that was just crazy.
mhm,
Um, but I was sitting there and listening, right? And I'm listening to them and I'm like, everything they're talking about, I shared in my book. I'm like,
mhm.
Fadwa, you should be the one standing on stage too. That's what came up for me. I'm
Yeah.
like, next year, or maybe in 2 years, I envisioned myself, and I'm like, I want to see myself standing on stage, right? I don't no longer want to be a participant. For me, that's what came up for me. It was like it was inspiring enough for me to know that I know enough to share.
Mhm.
I may not be as famous and I'm as amazing as them, right? But I was like, I'm qualified enough. Everything they've shared when it comes to, health and mental health and, emotions and resetting our mindset. And I was just like, oh my God, these are things that I share in my book. And these are things that I can actually talk about or even on a deeper level, right? But every speaker brought on their game and they talked about things that were very, very impactful. Yeah. Yeah.
Correction. You are more than qualified enough to speak. We may not have the followers, you
Yes.
know what I'm saying? But you're more
Yes.
than qualified to speak.
Qualify. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Between now and you being on that stage is continued preparation.
Yes. Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. What's the most powerful lesson you've learned about your own personal development journey?
Ah, wow. Vulnerability.
Mm,
Yeah. Vulnerability, just to be okay with being vulnerable, to be okay with yourself, whatever shows up. The other thing I've learned through my own journey is creating room for myself to feel what I'm feeling, because what I did in the past was suppress,
mhm,
avoid, pretend, right?
mhm,
But I've learned over the years now is that I'm going to honor everything that shows up in me because it's telling me something. There's a history showing up here. There's a story showing up here that I've not resolved. The emotions, right? My daughter knows one of the things that really I'm very triggered. Used to be very triggered, but I've almost resolved it. Is the issue of abandonment and rejection. and that used to be triggered. And my daughter used to be one of the triggers for me. Our children trigger us. So we need to pay attention to what's being triggered, because oftentimes it predates them. The outburst and the anger and all these emotions that show up oftentimes it has nothing to do with anybody else. It's just our history showing up. So it's creating room to actually feel what I'm experiencing and get to nurture it. I always give an example, Priscilla. I always tell my clients is, imagine you see either a nephew or child or niece or your own child at a very young age, and you see them, a 2-year-old, 3-year-old sitting there crying. What would you do to that child? What exactly you would do with that child is what you want to do with you in that moment. So that's what I do. It's reparenting that part of me, right? And coming back to me. So that's one of the things. And then the constant growth. We're always evolving. Who I am today, I'm going to evolve, right? My highest version of myself is ever evolving. I'm never just stagnant. I'm always evolving, always growing. And that's one of the things that I've learned.
I tell people this version of me today, it expires at the end of the day, because I'm
even now, at the end of the day, it's a constant, right?
a different woman.
And I want to say, especially for those who are in this journey, like yourself, right, and me, it gets to a point where I used to have conversation. People would say it's a lonely journey, right? But it doesn't have to be a lonely journey. It's a very meaningful journey. But this is what I see on the flip side, where you've grown, but those people who see your growth do not understand your journey. And you will feel the resistance. You will get the resistance from those people around you who will say, you've changed. I don't recognize you anymore. Right? And I'm not sure if you received that, but I've gotten that from people who are very close to me. And then I'm looking and I'm like, hold on, you are right, actually. Yeah, you don't recognize me because the person you know is the version that I've let go of, right? That version is done, is dead, is done. This is the version it has expired, done. And you're the one holding on to a part of me that I no longer hold. That's why you no longer recognize me, right? So it's really understanding that our journey is our journey, and everybody else's is on their journey, and how we can come back to ourselves and be compassionate, and also be compassionate towards others, because our journey are not the same. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So I think the most impactful speaker for me was Jay Shetty. And it was because it was a hard confirmation of what my purpose was. I already had found it, but he just validated it for me, like, okay, I'm on the right path, right? But I think something that I needed to hear was from Lisa Nichols, when she said she had to forgive herself of self-judgment. I just wanted to know if you felt that, and if it was something you needed to hear, because I needed to hear it.
Yeah. I'm happy. I'm really happy to know that that's something you needed. And I think for every speaker, for every person that was there, something resonated with them, right? When for me, what resonated for me was that it's a process that I do on a continuous basis. I've learned to forgive myself. Let me tell you, I messed up a few days ago. Okay, as a mother. Okay, on top of all the things that happens, I forgot one. I didn't forget. January 1st was my daughter's birthday. And we were in Dubai. I was traveling. I was gone for 12 days. So when I came back sick, coughing, like jet lag. I was like, my time frame, I went to two different countries, 2 different time zones, 3 different time zones. So I came back. I didn't know what day, what was coming, what my mind, my body was disconnected. So I was just nourishing myself, sleeping, resting. That's all I was doing, and eating. January 21st afternoon, 3 o'clock, my son walks in, says hi, and he's like, oh, did you speak to he says my daughter's name. I said, yeah, I saw her. I saw her in the morning. He's like, yeah, I sent her a message to wish her happy birthday. Can you believe I was with my daughter in the morning? She picked me up. I went to the doctors because I wanted to check my blood work and all that. And I can see her mood is different. And I'm asking her, are you okay? Everything okay? She's like, yeah, I'm just not feeling well. But I'm like, okay. I'm like, she's upset, but I didn't know why she was upset.
Mm-hmm.
3 o'clock in the afternoon, I understood why she was upset. She thought that I had forgotten her birthday.
Mm.
When my son said that, I felt horrible. I was on a call and I literally told that person, I am a horrible mother. I forgot my daughter's birthday today. And I hung up the phone and I called her immediately. And of course, she was upset. But what I realized in that moment, I told her, I did not forget your birthday. I just didn't realize today was your birthday. I didn't realize today is January 21. I actually thought it was midweek, right? So I completely, just because of my days and all that, but it took me a few days of just talking to her and all that. But I had to do one thing. I had to go back and not being too hard on myself and judging myself as a bad mother because I forgot. I didn't forget. I made a mistake, human mistake. And I had to go back to that version of me and say, you're not a bad mother. This has never happened. I had to give myself some grace and I had to say to myself, it's okay. She's upset. She will eventually get over it. She will understand what happened. Why? Just give her room to be upset, validate her emotions, right? But don't be too hard on yourself because that's what happened. You're not a bad mother. You didn't forget. You made a mistake, and your mistake does not speak about you being less of a mother or bad mother. It's just you're human and you're tired and you're recovering, you're sick. I had to give myself that grace and compassion and forgiveness towards myself. So I have practiced self-forgiveness, let me tell you. But there's one thing Lisa Nichols talked about that I did, and that resonated with me. And I truly believe in every change that I've done in my life, I've gone through, I did that. Is the self-rescue. Not waiting for somebody to rescue you. You have to be your own self-rescue. That resonated with me because that's where my life changed in 2017. I went on a self-rescue mission, right? So when she said that, it was like, yeah, did that. And I recognized that every decision I've made had to be a very bold decision. It was a self-rescue mission every time I made that decision.
So I see you have those self conversations.
Yes.
Yes.
I spoke to me, myself, and I all the time. I am my own best company.
I've been having those.
Yes.
What's the most powerful lesson you've learned from how have you balanced self-care and personal growth while raising your children and running a business?
Yeah, I mean, I've experienced burnout, right? Like we all do. I've experienced burnout in the past, and it put me in bed for 4 months. So I've learned the hard way. I've learned the hard way. Now I can't afford to experience that kind of a burnout. I think for me, what I do is I give myself some grace period during the day. And self-care, I am an advocate for self-care. I train my clients on self-care, and I call self-care self-love. And I take a moment every morning to just 5-10 minutes for myself, even while I'm still in bed, just 5-10 minutes, just myself. But throughout the day, that's what I do. It's not something that I do morning and then night or morning. No, I do it when I feel like something, I'm overwhelmed, right? Like today, I was on a call all day on Zoom all day. So before I went in, I knew I need to bring my energy up because I was speaking on a panel and all that. So I was like, I need to reset my energy. And the moment I did that, I walked in, it was like, whew, 120 accelerated pace. And I just brought the energy into the room, right? And they could feel it. So by the time I was done, it was like, okay, I need to have time to decompress. And I allowed myself. I think we need to give ourselves some time to even whatever time, 5-10 minutes, 30 minutes. I call my me time, and as a parent, as a single parent, it's so important to have a me time. And the kids need to know when that me time means and when it's me time for you, and staying consistent with that. And then do what makes you happy during that me time.
Mm-hmm.
Do what,
Yeah.
if you need to have a bath, if you need to go for a walk, if you want to, put on some candles, put on some jazz, whatever rocks your boat. Do what makes you happy. Do what brings you joy. I think, like Oprah says, right? Fill your cup. The spillover is for everyone else. So we want to learn
Yeah.
how to fill our cups full so we can show up fully for others.
And when your cup is full, you give better. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been telling people I started going on a selfie vacation in
Oh,
2023. And I'm telling you, it was hard because there was a separation anxiety. And it's like that's all I knew, work, home, kids. And so the first 2, 3 days, it was emotional. But
mhm.
then after that, I was like, I'm on vacation. I'm enjoying
We did
myself.
that.
Yeah.
Patience. And I think most of the time we want to go with people, and then we are not on people's schedules, right? Everybody has their own schedule. And I truly believe if you take time, I've never traveled on my own right up until summer of last year, because I
Mhm.
always traveled with my kids. But guess what? This time around, I took the kids, left them in England, and I went to Africa. I went to
Mhm.
Mombasa. I went to Nairobi. I went to Zanzibar. I went to Tanzania by
Oh,
myself. And
yes.
people are like, you did that on your own. And I'm like, listen, I surprised myself on the things that I could do that I thought were not possible. And then again, Dubai, right? And then
Yes.
Bahrain, Abu Dhabi. But one of the things that people will tell you is that, oh, you're so strong and you're so courageous to do this and leaving your kids alone. No, it has nothing to do with courage,
Mhm.
right? It has nothing to do with, you being stronger. I'm not stronger than any other single mother out there. I'm not more courageous than any other single mother out there. It's just we have to prioritize ourselves as well. Here's a fact, Priscilla. As a single parent, our children eventually will grow and move on with their life. Period. Okay. And here is the fact, and here's the truth. So, are we going to wait until they've left to start living? That's the
Mhm.
question. Are we going to wait until then? Or you're going to start building yourself and living your life now so that even by the time they've left, you have a foundation already. You've built on a foundation. You've traveled. You've built a business. You're doing something. Do not wait until your children have left to do something for your life.
Amen.
Now, start now. Start now, because we think that our children is the end of us.
Mhm.
They're going to live their own life. Chances are we are away from our
Yeah.
parents. Aren't we, Priscilla?
Yeah.
We're living our own life, are we? Not from our parents. So they're going to have their own life. They have their own wings. Let them fly. Let them, they're going to fall. They're going to get up. They're going to fall. They're going to get up. That's how they learn. We got
Yes.
to stop holding on to our children,
Oh yeah.
and we got to
Actually,
stop living vicariously through our children.
mhm. I actually told my kids one time, I said, listen, listen. I said, my life does not revolve around you. You
There
are
you go.
part of my life, but it doesn't revolve around you. I said,
Yes,
me, I have feelings, I have goals, and I have dreams. So we gonna work this out. The
absolutely.
activities and everything, it has to come in alignment. It can't be like you, and I get left behind. No.
They're going to move on with their life. I have an exit plan. Every single parent should have an exit plan. I have an exit plan right now. I've given myself a time frame.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And so now I'm building on it so that by that time comes, I already have the foundation built.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of you too.
I just love this woman. Let me ask you this. What's the biggest challenge you see single parents are facing, and how would you want to help them overcome that?
I think the one of the challenges, I think we're stuck in that cycle, right? That will, the single parent will. And
Mhm.
we think that's all there is to us, right? And I think that's one of the challenges. And I truly believe that some of us, we think that that's the best that we can do. And I've seen not just family members, friends, people that I know who are stuck in that. They don't believe that they have more to offer. They don't believe there's a life outside of being a single parent. And they believe that there's something in them that they can build on, that they can actually do something bigger and greater. I'm not saying parenting is not bigger and greater, definitely, but you are here before you're here before your children. And you have also a purpose in life, a vision in life. And we shouldn't really focus too much on this is all I have to do. And then we close ourselves from opportunities that are out there. The second is that opportunities to get into relationships again, to open ourselves for love, right? Because either we've been heartbroken or we don't trust anymore. And I see a lot of single parents saying, I'm just going to raise my kids and that's it. And life is over. It's like somebody who's saying, I'm retiring and that's it. You're going to die slowly. It's a very painful, slow death, basically, because you've given up on life, right? So my invitation to any single mothers, single parents going through this process, my invitation to you is that there's life. The life that you're meant to live is bigger and brighter. And you have gifts. You're not limited to just being a parent. That's what I'm trying to say. You can do many other things should you choose to pursue. Listen, I didn't know, but I'm talking to you right now. 2017, I didn't think this version here was possible. And that's what I'm saying. It's when we don't have the awareness and consciousness of the possibilities, we get stuck in that state, right? 2017, that version of me didn't see me as an author, as a coach, a transformational coach, as a speaker, as helping and transforming lives and changing my clients' lives. That version, are you kidding me? I was lost in my own world.
Yeah, it is true. And I think we didn't know this version was coming, but we went through the journey and we went through the process, and now we have the voice to empower single parents.
Yes.
Yeah. So, it's like, don't worry about, these labels, the single parents, the labels of the disability and the label of you're this or whatever. Like, forget about that. I told my friend the other day, I'm breaking generational expectations, societal expectations. I'm breaking it. I'm going against all odds.
Yeah.
And people ask me how you do it. How did you buy a house by yourself? Just you alone. How do you manage financially? You alone. How did you start a business? How did you publish a book? All these different things that they ask me, and I'm like, I just do it.
And you said something very important. Expectations, right? Expectations. That word, I've taken it out of my life. And when I say this, it's controversial, right? Because I always say expectation is the mother of disappointments. I have no expectation on anyone. I have no expectation on anything. Why? Because that's my perception of what I hope or want them to deliver on. And chances are they're going to fall short of what I want them to do. I have an expectation. I have a standard.
And you get disappointed.
It's the mother of disappointments. And I had a disagreement with a very close friend of mine, and she could not understand why I would not have an expectation on our friendship. I'm like, I have no expectation. You have expectation over me, then chances are I'm going to disappoint you. Because I'm not going to deliver based on a standard that you have set upon me. I have no expectation on my children. They're going to do what they're going to do. I'm going to raise them to be the best they can be. But end of the day, they're going to be who they're going to be.
Oh, yeah.
So I removed expectations. And then the other thing, you talked about was I go back to the conversation I had, when you talk about, the labeling, right? The labels we put ourselves. So the trip when I was in Abu Dhabi, after we left in Dubai, I went to Bahrain. And I was at this event and I spoke about, and I told the ladies, because I kept hearing the labels. Oh, I'm a grandma. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm a mother. Oh, I'm this. The labels, the labels, the labels. So I walked up to them and I said, and I think it goes back to what Stephen Bartlett was talking about. I said, everything I said, I used the analogy, the table, right? You look at this table, it's full of stuff. That's the labels that you put on, right? But before you had all this, there was you. Before you became a mom, there was you. Before you became, there was all these accomplishments. I said, remove all this, what's left? A table. So that's you. Remove all these labels, what's left is you. How do you see yourself? How do you envision yourself? How do you see the world? How does the world see you? How do you walk through life? How do you approach life? How do you approach experiences? How do you envision yourself? What is the image you hold of yourself, right? What are you passionate about? You have to come back at the end to you.
Knowing who you are.
Knowing who you are. I mean, this body one day will leave us. What's left is our soul, right? And how do you want your soul to live on for eternity? We have to think eternally. That's what we have to start thinking. We cannot think about, I'm just here for one day and then that's it. How do I live my life fully with purpose and meaning and fulfillment?
Right. I'm not my name. I'm not my degree. I'm not my sexual identity. I'm a spiritual being living in this human experience, and we all have an assignment. And I believe it's an infinite assignment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It lives on beyond us, right? Yeah.
Man, this is so good. I promise you guys good stuff, and I'm giving you good stuff. Right now, I feel like I'm being life coached, and you're life coaching everybody. What's one common misconception about life coaching that you'd like to clear up?
So I've stopped using even the word life coach for me. I've started using as a transformational coach. Because in life, everybody has different goals and different priorities, right? So one of the misconceptions people have about life coach is, number one, you have to be satisfied. I think, life coach for me it's your life experiences. What have you gained from your experiences and how can you help somebody else? Each one of us is a life coach. When we really look deep down, we are life coach. We are always giving advice to somebody. We are always helping somebody. One shape or the other. We are life coaches. Through friendship and relationships and siblings. We're always there. We're always facilitating conversations, whether it's at work, whether it's in our personal life and professional life. We are life coaches. We're always helping somebody else. So life coach is helping somebody else, right? So I go from life coach to transformational coach is we transform the outcomes that you want, the results that you want, and bring value in the things that you really value in your life. What are the things that you value the most in your life? And how can you create the results that you want for your life? For me, that's transformational.
Right? So you're kind of like Google Map, taking you from point A to point B. Yeah.
Because everybody has answers. Sometimes you just want them to help them gain clarity on the answers they want. We have all the answers within us. We have solutions within us. Each one of us is capable. But we just sometimes need somebody to just remove that lens, so we can have clarity. Yeah.
That transformation. What can you share when it comes to a transformational story from one of your clients that really touched you?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to read an excerpt here on my book. I just want to check the time. We have time. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read this. I put it at the back of my book, and this really truly inspired me to continue to do what I do. So on the days that I doubt myself, or I become like, you're like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I come back to this and it wakes me up. So word for word, these are her own verbatim words that she used. Fadwa, God brought you as a blessing into my life. Each tear that cleansed my soul brought me closer to my true joy, bliss, and purpose in my life. Those first layers Fadwa unpacked on my heart led me to having access to my heart again and feeling again. Fadwa came into my life to save me from myself. She sacrificed her time for me to bring life back to my heart. She pulled me out of the depths of the ocean of emotions, drowning me till I gasped, reaching the surface and drew my breath of ease upon relief of releasing the emotions. Her gentle manner, still presence, is soothing and comforting as a mother's lap. Just as a mother holds an infant's hand when learning to walk, she held my hand as I learned to feel with encouragement, patience, and understanding. My life has transformed from being a prisoner of pain, trapped in my own body from fibromyalgia, to feeling true serenity of the heart. Much gratitude for saving my life. Fadwa is a name I will always remember as it's etched on my heart. I mean, when you read this, what do? You don't stop. You keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You keep going. You keep going because there are people in pain. There are people suffering. There are people who don't know what to do with their pain, right? And our assignment, my assignment is to help. If I can help, because when I help that person, I'm not helping that person. I'm helping the entire family. Because when she's better and she's healthier, she's in a state where she can show up for her children, she can show up for her husband, she can show up for her family and her community.
Wow. Let me ask you this question. What advice do you have for other single parents looking to start a coaching or writing career?
First of all, you have a story in you. That's the first thing I'm going to say. It may not feel like it, because oftentimes when we feel like we are stuck, we feel like there's no way out, right? So even for those who are experiencing that right now, I say there's, even you being in that stuckness, there's a story. There's a story worth sharing. There's a story worth writing about. The only thing is we want to move from pain to a place of purpose, right? So you're moving your pain to purpose. How is your pain going to serve others? So not using your pain to drive pain and drown you in pain, but to actually use pain to drive you forward, right? So what I would say is know that you have a story, your own narrative, your own story, your own experience. That's worth sharing. That's worth talking about. I would say start writing, journaling, writing down your experiences, the gems and the jewels that in the messages you picked from it. You may not understand all the answers or have all the answers at this moment, but just take a note, write a journal, right? And the other thing for in terms of coaching, I would say go and listen to podcasts like this, right? Follow people, follow me I'm on all social media platforms. Follow Priscilla. Start listening to the podcast, listen to the people that inspire you. And that's how you get inspired to take the next step, right? Join coaching calls, join programs like Priscilla and myself. We've invested. Invest in yourself. We continue to invest in our growth. It's never ending. We are constantly growing. Like we flew all the way to Dubai. It cost us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, invest. You don't have to fly. You don't have to go far, but there are resources, free resources that you can listen to right now. Start there first. Build yourself. And then when you get to a place where you need to take the next step, then make that decision.
That's some really great advice. When it comes to mindset and future goals, what daily habits or practices do you suggest people doing to help them to stay grounded and motivated?
Mm,
I don't want to just say motivated either,
yeah,
more like inspired, because motivation is almost like gas. You eventually you run out. You have to have the inspiration is like lifetime. It's like a lifetime battery.
absolutely. And I'm so happy. You know what? We are so in alignment. I don't like to use motivation to drive you. I don't believe motivation is enough to drive you,
Mhm.
right? Um, don't wait for motivation. I think for me and you, the changes that we went through, it wasn't motivation. We were not motivated to do it, right? It's the drive and the inspiration. So what I think the habits, the hacks that people can use right now is the daily hacks is have clarity first on what you want. So sit down every day, take a book, whatever the note, take your voice note and just record. What is it that you want? What is it? When we don't have a vision in life, we are aimless and we waste life when we're aimless. So
Mhm.
start creating a vision of what you want for your life. What is it that you want? Start small. Start with a place in your life where you see you want to change the results that you're not getting in your life. It could be your health. It could be in your finances, right?
Mhm.
Look at those areas in your life. It could be just even the relationships. Maybe you want to create healthy relationships. Maybe you want to have healthy relationships with your children. Start there. What is it that you want? Have a clear goal, aim, just one thing. This is what I want, ideally would love to have in this. And start with that. And then start creating that image in your mind. Start seeing that person that you envision. I want to have healthy relationship with my children. Start creating that image of a healthy relationship with your children. And then what is that one act that you can start doing? Maybe showing up with compassion, maybe showing up as an active listener, right? Just little things that we can start doing. And then listen to podcast. Google is amazing. ChatGPT is amazing. Go in and Google and, these are ideal things that I would like to achieve. What kind of mindset hacks can I use? There's so
Mhm.
many things. And then, you know what? Get a copy of my book. Get a copy of my book. Get a copy of Priscilla's book, right? Because there's habits there that you can start using to help you accelerate. Because we've gone through it, we've done it. So
Right.
we are showing you a shortcut. So you don't have to spend years to get where you need to get,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice, before I even ask you that question, you said, I've said many times on podcasts that I have out already, just start. Just start. And I also, I did my very second episode was on goal setting. I said, don't just write the goal, visualize it. And I said that you had to think before you write. You had to think before you speak. But when you're thinking, go deep in that thinking, actually live in that moment. And I spoke about when I was buying my house and I saw it, I just knew it was mine. And what I did when I went home, I looked at the pictures and I started visualizing myself cooking in the kitchen, using the bathroom, walking in the bedroom. And it happened.
Mhm.
So you said those two things that I've said before. But let me ask you this question. What's one piece of advice you have for single parents who feel stuck? And
Mm,
what would it be, that advice?
yeah. I mean, the fact that you recognize that you're stuck, it's a good place to start because
Mhm.
it means you're conscious. It
Mhm.
means that you are aware you're stuck because you
Mhm.
cannot change what you cannot see.
Mhm.
So just that knowing that, okay, I am stuck. The results, right? The results that I am getting in my life are not creating the outcome that I want in my life, right? That alone is a great start. So now the question is, this is very fundamental. One of the things that I came to realize is the information I know now is not enough to get me to the next level. So start with that. What new information do you need to move you out of being stuck? What new information do you need? Because then it's easy to find the information. It's all over the websites. It's all over social media. It's free and available to you right now that you can access. And that's where it started for me. That's how I started my journey. I knew if I want to create a different life, the information that I had, the knowledge was not enough to get me to the next level. So start with gaining the information that you need to get you out of where you are right now. That's the first fundamental step you can take.
Man, you're like my mirror. It's almost like I'm looking in the mirror. That's how I started. In my first episode, I said that I was at rock bottom. And what I did was I went on YouTube and I listened to Lisa Nichols, Les Brown, Bob Proctor. That at that time, Jay Shetty just started doing his outdoor videos on Facebook. Just start there.
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, you will feel so relieved. Yeah. What's next for you? You. And you kind of mentioned it, but
Yes.
I'm gonna ask it, what's next for you? Any upcoming projects, books, any other businesses?
Yes, I'm excited, actually, really super excited. So I have a couple of summits coming up. I have some coaching programs that are coming up and these are coaching programs specific for coaches. What I find is I get a lot of calls from different coaches who are taking so many different things, but they still feel like they're not accelerating their businesses. They're not moving forward. So I'm bringing the coaches together. So in all realms of coaches, so wellness, therapist, and all that. Bringing together, but I also have a specific one for individuals. So anybody who's looking to move themselves from being stuck and gain clarity in their life and create different results in their life, that's also coming up as well. So I'm working on that. And of course a women's only retreat. So
Oh,
I'm excited. Yeah,
I hope I'm getting an invitation.
definitely. Most definitely.
And now that we're at the end of the interview, I just wanted to say thank you so much for volunteering to be a guest. You didn't have to do it, but your heart is so kind, and we're so grateful for you. And you spilled a lot of nuggets. You gave a lot of love, and you gave a lot of knowledge and messages. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Mm. First of all, thank you. I receive it, everything you have said, with gratitude, and I mirror it back to you. Thank you for creating this space to impact women, single parents, single mothers listening to this. So thank you. God bless you for the work that you're doing. You're such an inspiration. How can people find me? So on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So Fadwa Yusuf. It's Fadhwa and then Yusuf, Yusuf. If you put that in Google, you'll find all my social media accounts and just follow me. If you have any questions, if you want to get in touch with me, please do. I'd love to support you.
She has a really big heart, guys. So you can send her a message. And I'll put all her information below so you can reach out to her. Thank you, Fadwa.
Thank you so much.
I love you.
Love you back. Love you back. Love your energy, and I love how we aligned. Yeah, truly appreciate it.
Thank you.